You do not break a nation's industrial heart with a single airplane. For decades, that is the rule everyone believes. Dams are too massive, too reinforced, too well defended. They sit behind belts of flak, guarded by geography and physics itself. Engineers insist only sustained bombing campaigns can even scratch them. Military planners agree. One bomber, one night, one weapon. Impossible. Germany believes this rule with absolute confidence. By 1943, the Ruhr Valley is the engine room of the Third Reich. Its dams Schneider do more than hold water. They regulate electricity. They cool steel mills. They feed factories that build tanks, submarines, artillery, concrete walls up to 140 feet high. Water pressure measured in millions of tons. Anti-aircraft guns ring the valleys. Torpedo nets stretch across the reservoirs. The rule says, you cannot touch this. The British know the rule too. They have tried. High-altitude bombing scatters bombs harmlessly across water. Torpedoes sink or hit nets. Every expert says the same thing. The dams will hold, but in 1943, one man decides the rule is wrong, and in one night, he intends to prove it. He is 24 years old. Wing Commander Guy Gibson already carries the weight of 170 combat missions. Night bombing over Germany. Flames. Searchlights. Flak bursts, tearing holes in the dark. He flies with a calm that unnerves others. A clipped voice that never rises. His men say he sounds bored even when death claws at the cockpit. You can hear it when he speaks. Precision, control. No wasted words. Britain needs men like that in 1943. The war has turned brutal. U-boats strangle Atlantic supply lines. Bomber Command pounds German cities, but struggles to hit decisive targets. Losses climb. Crews burn. The question hangs in the air. How do you strike something that actually changes the war? That question lands on the desk of an engineer named Barnes Valise. He does not think like a bomber commander. He thinks like a mathematician staring at water. He calculates shock waves, pressure, rebound angles, and then he proposes something insane. A bomb that skips, a cylindrical weapon, spinning backwards at 500 revolutions per minute, dropped at exactly 60 feet above water, at exactly 232 miles per hour. It hits the surface, bounces like a stone, clears the torpedo nets, smashes against the dam wall, sinks and detonates at a preset depth. The blast does not push outward. It pushes inward. The water itself becomes the weapon. Bomber Command nearly laughs it out of the room. But desperation overrides doctrine. A new squadron forms 617 Squadron. Hand-picked crews. Endless, low-level training over English reservoirs. Power lines flash past cockpit windows. One mistake means instant death. Gibson takes command. He learns every face, every voice. He knows which pilot flinches under flak, which navigator never misses a fix, which gunner keeps firing when others freeze. And now, in May 1943, the order comes. Target, the Ruhr Dams. Distance, over 1,000 miles round trip. Altitude, treetop. Height. Survival odds, unknown. Gibson looks at his men and understands the truth. Tonight, the rule du jour they do. The engines start at Harfscampton just before dusk on May 16, 1943. 19 Lancaster bombers roll onto the runway, each carrying a single 9,250-pound weapon slung beneath the belly. Crews climb aboard knowing one thing with certainty. Germany will see them coming. You lift off into the fading light and drop immediately to 100 feet. Sometimes lower. Hedgerows blur. Church steeples flash past. At eye level, one misjudged rise in terrain, and the aircraft disintegrates. The North Sea opens ahead. Black water. No moon. German radar stations pick up the intruders. Flak opens along the coast. Tracers rip upward. Red and white lines, clawing at the night. One Lancaster takes a direct hit and vanishes in a fireball. No parachute. Gibson presses on. You do not dodge flak at 60 feet. You fly through it. By midnight, the force splits. Gibson leads the main group toward the Mche Dam. The largest target, the linchpin. The valley narrows, hills rise on both sides. Searchlights snap on and lock instantly. The dam wall looms ahead, 140 feet of concrete, stretching 2,100 feet across the valley. German gunners open fire. You feel the aircraft shudder as shells tear past. The altimeter needle trembles at 60 feet. Two spotlights mounted on the Lancaster S nose and belly intersect perfectly on the water S surface. That crossing point is your height gauge. If the lights separate, you die. Gibson goes first. He lines up. Speed, 232 miles per hour. Distance, 400 yards. 300 and 200 flag slams into the airframe. Bam, gone. Gone. The weapon drops. It skips on, say, twice. 3 times. Then it slams into the dam and sinks. Seconds stretch. The explosion erupts, but the dam holds. Water surges. Spray fills the valley. The concrete stands. Failure is not abstract now. It is visible, solid, terrifying. Gibson does not retreat. He circles back into the flak to draw fire away from the others. Tracers chase his aircraft as the next Lancaster dives in. One by one, they attack. A bomb detonates too far out. Another hits the wall but explodes. Shallow. A third aircraft takes a direct flak hit, clips the dam, and explodes. Wreckage rains into the reservoir. You count the losses without speaking them. 5 aircraft gone. Then comes Flight Lieutenant David Maltby. He flies straight and level through a tunnel of fire, releases at perfect range. The bomb hits, sinks, detonates. This time, the dam shudders. A crack snakes across the concrete. The center section buckles. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. Then the wall collapses. 10 million tons of water surge through the breach. The roar is not an explosion. It is a living thing. A tidal wave tears down the valley at 15 miles per hour. Power stations vanish. Bridges fold. Factories drown. Entire villages disappear under black water. German defenders stare in disbelief. The rule is broken. But the night is not over. Gibson turns toward the Eder Dam, and guarded by flak but protected by terrain. Steep hills force a curved approach. You must dive, climb, and level out in seconds. Repeated runs fail. Bombs miss. Fuel runs low. Finally, a Lancaster finds the line. Release. Impact. Detonation. The Eder Dam collapses in a thunderous cascade, water hammering into the Weser Valley. At the Sorp Dam, earth-filled and stubborn, bombs damage, but do not destroy. Crews attack anyway, knowing every minute increases the chance of interception. Dawn creeps into the sky as the survivors turn for home. Of 39 aircraft, only 11 return. 53 men are dead or captured. Gibson Lenz shuts down the engines and sits in silence. He knows what this cost. He also knows what it achieved. If you find this kind of forgotten history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage, sacrifice, and genius deserve to be told. And by subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. The floodwaters race for days. German industry reels. Over 1,300 civilians die. Thousands of homes vanish. Steel production drops sharply. Mines flood. Rail lines wash out. Electricity falters across the Ruhr. More importantly, Germany panics. What they didn't know was how small the force actually was. They assume more attacks will follow. Hitler orders tens of thousands of workers, engineers, construction crews, anti-aircraft units redirected to dam defense and repair. Those resources vanish from the Atlantic Wall, from U-boat pens, from frontline factories. The psychological impact cuts deeper than the physical damage. If a single squadron can do this, what else is vulnerable? Allied planners take note. Precision, innovation, specialized units, The raid becomes a blueprint: low-level attacks, focused objectives, technology tailored to a single problem. The war does not end in 1943, but it bends. Guy Gibson receives the Victoria Cross. He stands before the king, expression unchanged. The quiet never leaves him. He does not live to see the war end. In September 1944, at age 26, he dies when his aircraft crashes on a return from another mission. Of the 133 men who fly on the Dambusters raid, 53 never come home. Many are in their early 20s. Farm boys, mechanics, clerks, men whose names would vanish without remembrance. The dams are rebuilt. The valleys heal, but the rule never returns. To this day, military engineers study that night. Strategists still ask the same question. Gibson answered with action. What if the impossible is only untried? And now, the responsibility passes to you. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state, and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Guy Gibson and the 53 men of No. 617 Squadron do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered.